What is going on, everybody? Hope you can hear me. Hope this is working out correctly. Everyone hear me? Are we good? Always a challenge doing new things on here. I've never gone live by myself on this channel before. No, you can't hear me, Murray. You better not be messing with me. Murray, I'm gonna be mad at you if you're messing with me. Echo. Okay, I'll try to fix the echo. Not sure why it is echoing. Sorry, is it like really bad? Oh, okay. You had it open on both. All right, good. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Thursday evening. Tori is out of town for the next couple days. Is actually going to a Mariners game tomorrow, I believe, so that'll be fun for him. So just wanted to do a solo stream for all of you. Hope you're all doing well. This stream is brought to you, as always, by Bet Online. Fun fact, now when a home team loses a playoff series, game one, they are 21-1 in game two, covering the spread. So, it's almost about a sure bet as you can get in all of sports gambling. So keep that in mind for the next round. If the home team loses game one, bet a ton of money on that home team to win game two and to cover the spread. It almost always happens. So, it's not guaranteed, but those kind of odds you cannot get pretty much anywhere else. So, definitely do that. I'm not sure what the one game that didn't cover that was, but I know most of the time it's not even close. The average covering of the spread is by over 10 points. But yeah, once again, this is not financial advice, just going by the sheer numbers of things. Thank you, Colonel Pancakes, for mentioning that. Thank you to Murray for an Australian $2 donation, who says, first dono, your Warriors tip was clutch ASF. Yeah, I'm glad you took advantage of it. Hope you made a lot of money. Because that's, like I said, it's hard to get that good of odds that it'll happen in a bet. Like I said, it's not all the time, but when it comes to betting, like that's, when you get into the 90 percentile for a certain thing to happen, most likely, you pretty much just have to like go for it and hope that you're not the few percentage point chance that it doesn't happen. Thank you to Bet Online for sponsoring this stream. Go to Bet Online AG for all your gambling needs. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about Dame's tweet after Coach Budenholzer got fired. We'll do our usual Tankathon. I'll take questions. I like to interact with all of you in chat when I go solo. We'll just have our normal fun. And there's also some Blazer broadcasting news that came out today. Probably not good. The Coach Bud thing is interesting. So the Bucks lose in the first round, and of course, I wouldn't say it wasn't warranted or whatever, but it is interesting when coaches. This is now 2 championship coaches that have been fired this year. Coach Nick Nurse got fired earlier in the offseason. Told Ujiri on his way out, good luck with those guys. What else happened? Oh, today, so Coach Budenholzer gets dismissed today. He has also won a championship. So, yeah, Dame tweets out, get the exact quote here. So Dame tweets out that folks out here firing championship coaches as soon as they don't win the chip. Interesting comments from Dame as well. Gotta believe that there's a little bit of hidden meaning there. I don't think Nurse and Budenholzer did a very good job this year. So both of them, I think, you can make the case that it was justified. But Budenholzer had a ton of talent on that team, and I feel kind of bad because his brother died during the playoff series, so his head probably wasn't in it completely. And so, but that team is just way too talented to lose in the first round. So I'm hoping that this is Dame kind of poking at the bear, saying like this Bucks organization is letting a championship coach go. You should Giannis should maybe think about wanting to leave, right? But yeah, as Chris Brandlin says, that's most likely the case. If Giannis still wanted Bud there, he'd still be there. We know that Stotts kept his job a long time because Dame personally went and vouched for him after the Pelican series and asked for him not to be fired. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes in terms of coaching things. I still don't think Chauncey's job is in jeopardy. I still think they're going to give him another season at least. And they do want to give him another off season to maybe show that he has recruiting chops and can convince a player to come here. Dame was mostly instrumental in getting Grant to come here, but having Chauncey didn't hurt that. And if a player like Jaylen Brown becomes available this summer, Chauncey is going to play a big part in that if he tries to leverage his way here, because Jaylen is friendly with both Dame and Jeremy Grant and does like Chauncey as well. So that's maybe like the one thing you can hold your hat on for Chauncey as a reason to keep him around, is because he does seem to be well respected around the league. Guys respond to him and want to be around him. That he hasn't lost this team, I don't think. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't help us land someone via trade or free agency that we might not have gotten had we just had a coach that wasn't like that. Now, he's definitely got to improve his coaching stuff and make it translate to the floor. So that's all yet to be determined, and I think he'll get a chance to do that next year. But I don't know. The jury's still out on Chauncey. Definitely hasn't been given the best rosters to prove things with, the most balanced rosters or the most depth consistent rosters. So he begged for length at the trade deadline, didn't really get it outside of, wing depth or wing height, which wasn't really what he was asking for. So yeah, there are some excuses Chauncey has, of course, but he didn't really do a good job when he did have the pieces in place. The defense is still a mess. He didn't really do anything scheme-wise to fix it. The players didn't really take the attitude on the court that he had been preaching the last two off seasons. So still a ton to be determined there, but I just don't think they're going to move on from him quite yet in that regard. But yeah, the Bucks, I don't know what the Bucks are going to do, man. I could see them just being, you know what, it's not working out. We got to make some decisions, and all that. But I could also see them absolutely just running it back and trying to add another player and going for it. But they got 2 more years of Drew Holiday. Middleton is going to be making over $40 million next year if he opts into his player option. And so just going to be, I mean, I don't know what to do. I guess if I was them, I would try to might try to reshuffle. Like there are some teams. I heard Houston and Dallas are both interested in Chris Middleton. So if you can get some like good players, maybe we talked about this with Dame. Maybe just kind of re-energize the team with some younger players too. They have to be pretty good young players, but I think that would be the way I would handle it. Now, personally, I'm hoping though, as a Blazer fan, that they decide to just start trading everyone, and then Giannis becomes unhappy and all that. So that would be my dream scenario is if Milwaukee blows it up, because that's one way the Blazers could go from non-contention to immediate contenders, is if they pick up Giannis and team up Dame and Giannis, and obviously we could re-sign Jeremy Grant then, and that would form one of the best trios in the league. So then Cronin would just have to fill that roster with lots of depth and good veteran pieces. Hopefully a lot of players would want to come here and maybe fill in some spots, knowing that they could get a spot in a rotation on a championship level team. So that's the ultimate dream. It's not likely that happens. I'm not like counting on it to happen or anything. Just like the Jaylen Brown situation. If it happens, great. If not, you just gotta find a way to move on. But this offseason, I think there's going to be a lot of potential trade targets that haven't been available in years. So Cameron asks, do you think the only way Giannis would be traded is if he was unhappy? Probably. I think it's kind of like the Dame situation where they'd either have to tell him they want to move on with him, and that would maybe make him unhappy, or they'd have to they'd have to have Giannis say he's fine with moving on or whatever. It's a little bit different though when you win a championship, because like you've done that for the city, right? So like if Dame wins and then towards the end of his career wants to go team up with a friend or something, like then you can't really blame him, you know? So I don't know. I'd be surprised if he just said, no, I want to finish my career in Milwaukee. Let's redo this thing or retool around me or run it back or whatever. And then they just trade him. Yeah, I don't see that happening. But Rip City says, did you see Woj talk about the new CBA rules and how it's going to make a very active trade summer? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is they're heavily penalizing a lot of teams that are going deep in the tax, and that's been something that for years it hasn't really hurt teams like the Warriors. You see the Clippers recently trying to buy their way to championships. The Nets tried to buy their way to one, and it costs the owner a lot of money and tax and stuff, but there's not. There wasn't really any restrictions other than, it costs the owner a lot of money. And if like Golden State's owner wanted to keep paying a ton of tax for winning 4 championships and he wants to go as deep into the tax as possible, that was his choice to do that. And but now it's almost set up to where you might have to rethink that method. You might have to make some tough decisions to trade some players to make sure you're not going too far into that tax so it doesn't limit some of your options later on down the road. So that's what Woj is talking about, that a lot of teams might err initially with this new CBA on the side of being like kind of financially prudent with their roster, and they may lead to a lot of big salary players being traded. So that's something to look forward to this summer. And all the Blazers need is that one big name to want to come here to pull off a trade without giving up everything for that person, unless it's Giannis. I think you can justify it maybe, but outside of Giannis, there's not many players that you should give up everything for. But yeah, so I think that there is going to be a lot of activity this summer. And the thing is, though, there's going to be a lot of teams trying to cut payroll, so they're not actually looking to add that star player. So it might make it kind of you'll have it split where you'll have several teams looking to maybe trade a star player and not as many teams looking to add a star player because of what the financial ramifications could be for that. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And hopefully there's just all kinds of movement. And hopefully, there's 3 or 4 players that the Blazers have identified as targets that become available, and the Blazers can make a move for at least one of them. The opportunity hopefully outweighs, how many teams are interested in those players. But yeah, as AJ points out, we did see Trendon Watford post a picture of him and Jaylen Brown on the court together. It kind of reminded me of last season when several of the Blazers posted a picture of Josh Hart and Yusuf Nurkic talking to Jeremy Grant. So that was always that's definitely something to watch. Boston could. They showed up in game 2 and won that easily. So it's still very likely that Boston wins a title. Maybe Jaylen Brown, after making All NBA, just realizes that he has it really well in Boston and doesn't move on from that. But yeah, so it's definitely possible he just stays in Boston. But if he does ask out, or if maybe Boston, even if they go far, decide that they don't want to risk losing him possibly in unrestricted free agency, that might be a possibility. But yeah, Brown would have to turn down some money, but I don't know if he'd do it or not. But he is the kind of person who would possibly go all in versus or go for another team where he's in a better situation for him versus money, kind of similar to Jeremy Grant. So yeah, I noticed that interview where he talked about the fans. There are a lot of bad fans, some mostly good, but there are the racist faction of fans out in Boston. And, a person like Jaylen Brown doesn't like that at all, rightfully so. So yeah, I don't know how much that'll weigh into his decision, but, yeah. But yeah, the Blazers could offer him a max extension or whatever following next season, similar to what they did with Jeremy Grant. The rules are a little different, so you can offer him a lot more money than you would have been able to do had he been traded this year. But yeah, the Blazers can still offer him a max. The difference is if he makes All NBA, he's due to make up to the super max in Boston. So it's definitely a possibility that he just takes the money and stays there. But we'll see. We'll see. I do know he really likes Dame and Jeremy and wants to be here. Saw some good questions. I'm just gonna go back up. Rip Pack City says, "Can someone explain to me why going all in and trading our future is a good idea? Feels like straight to Bustville and another first round exit to me." I think there's 2 lines of thinking. One is if you give up a bunch of players for, say, OG and Anunoby or something, then I don't think that makes a lot of sense if you're giving up Sharp in that deal or the lottery pick or whatever and not getting back a little more than Sharp or than OG. Like maybe if you get the 4th pick and Toronto's sitting there at 13 and you can still get that lottery pick, but you add an OG just matching salary to move down 9 spots. That's the kind of trade that you can add both an OG to your roster and get still a mid first round pick that you could still add to your young core. Maybe you hit on that again, and things take off from there. So there's kind of like dabbling in both worlds like that. But I think short of a star like Giannis, I don't think you should have to give up Sharp and Ant and the lottery pick. So I don't think it's necessarily trading the whole future for doing this. I think you're still going to try to keep at least one of Sharp and Ant to go forward. The problem is, like we talked about every stream since the trade deadline, they don't really have a lot of contracts to move if they want to make a super big move or a follow-up move once they make that big move. So it is kind of a situation where you have to be sure that team is ready to take a step to contention if you make an all-in move, if you give up your future for it. So I can definitely see both sides, but I don't feel like if they traded, if they kept Sharp and got Jaylen Brown, I don't think that's necessarily giving up on your future because you still have Sharp or whatever. If you have to give him up in the trade, but you keep Ant or your lottery pick or whatever, then that's still, I think, fairly good for the future. I mean, it sucks. I don't want to trade Sharp, but like, if they want to get a good player, they're going to have to move one of those guys, unfortunately. And that's what hurts about the way they've set up their contracts. Taylor Packer asks, if we do make a big splash trade, what player do you think is most likely to get? Is it Brown? I would say that's dependent on what happens with Boston. If they lose this round to Philly, I would 100% say Brown is the most likely. I'm not going to guarantee it like I did with Grant last summer, but I would be pretty close to guaranteeing it. Short of that, it's just going to depend on who becomes available. I know they're going to go after several players, like Mikal Bridges, Jaylen Brown. Those kind of players are definitely targets for the Blazers, but I don't know how realistic any of those are. I don't know if the Nets will end up even trading Mikal no matter what we offer them. So at some point it becomes not worth even giving up what they're doing. Cameron asked, do you see the Warriors trying to get under that second tax apron? I don't know if they'll try to get under it. It's going to be really difficult for them to just get flat out under it, especially just in one off season. But I could definitely see them set themselves up to be under it as the roster gets older. Taylor says the bigger thing for me is trusting Joe Cronin to gamble a bunch of our assets so we know he doesn't maximize value. Yeah, hopefully the Blazers have this doesn't have to be their big move, but like hopefully the trades where we send out like Norman Rocco and Larry Nance and get very little in return. Those kind of trades, hopefully he has some of those lined up too, where we can add someone to without having to give up a bunch of stuff. So hopefully we see that. But yeah. Trevin says seller Cronin doesn't maximize value, buyer Cronin doesn't miss. Yeah, we'll see. You could definitely make the case that he purposely tanked the team at the deadline both years. So maybe, I'm nervous. I can't lie. I'm nervous about it, Taylor. I'm hopeful that something good'll happen, but I mean, with all the heartbreak from the last, few years of trades, and then going back almost a decade of not making a big trade when pretty much everyone knows that a big move or a big change is probably needed. So I think that I'm just taking like a wait and see attitude. Like I'll be super stoked if we pull off a good trade, but I'm not like holding my breath that it's going to happen because just been disappointed so many times. In terms of getting like quality depth, there's a player right now that was pretty much hurt the entire year. He has a brother in the NBA who is actually playing really well in the playoffs. Is a really good, solid role player. I think this team would give him away for basically nothing right now because they just want to dump his contract. It fits into our trade exception and could be a really good, at minimum, like backup rotational wing player. And that player is Cody Martin. So that's someone I'd like to see the Blazers just pick up if they can get him for nothing. Maybe you just send back like the rights to someone because Charlotte wants to dump his contract. But yeah, and I just hope he has, when he goes to a better team and has a better role and maybe is healthier, has a jump like his brother. So that's someone that I would target as because you have that TPE that can fit him. So if you make a big trade and then you get a guy like Cody Martin to fill in some of that depth that you lose, those are the kind of moves I would pull off right now. Toronto has a couple of guys, Otto Porter Jr. and Thaddeus Young, that also fit that. They might be trying to cut salary, so I definitely call and try to get one of those guys. Thad Young would be okay for depth. Otto Porter Jr. would be good if he was healthy, but the problem is, outside of a little bit of the season last year with the Warriors, he hasn't been healthy for a long time. So I'd be a little more cautious to waste that move on someone like that. But yeah, Cody Martin would be my target right now, and I would just go get him so you had him, whether or not you made a big trade or not. I feel like he'd be a good addition. And if not, you have a tradable contract down the future. Otto, I believe it was his foot that plagued him this year, and he missed the entire year. I forgot what it was in Chicago where he missed pretty much his whole time there. It might have been his foot too. I think his shoulder at one point was messed up. But yeah. Yeah, in terms of let's see. G. Willikers asked, do you think the Blazers have an attitude problem or lack thereof? Ants and Jeremy are passive personalities, and at times it comes off as non-competitive. Yeah, I definitely think you need some players. You don't need all of them. Like, it's fine having Jeremy and Ant. I don't think that's a problem that they're like that, because we've seen for years, the Dame attitude never getting, too low. It can be a good thing to have. But you do need some of those players who are the opposite of that and who are aggressive and who will get in someone's face and will kind of stir things up and mix it up with the opponents. So I do agree that they need to add that, but I don't think it's a problem that they have players that are kind of passive or not the super, or it doesn't seem like they're like super angry about losses and stuff. I don't think that's the case. I think those guys do care a lot, and I think you'll see that next year, especially if the Blazers add a few pieces. Yeah, I'm not really worried about their personality. I think if anything, those guys. This is one of the sneakiest things of this season. I don't know how many of you picked up on it, but Ant and Grant got along great, and they were like really, really close. You could just tell that they really liked each other and stuff. So I think that kind of stuff bodes well for locker room chemistry and things like that. But they do need to add those pieces that are the opposite of that, so you have a mix of both and not just a bunch of nice guys who aren't gonna do the dirty work. So definitely need to add that. Now, the hot name to add if you want toughness and that craziness or whatever is Dillon Brooks. Um, I'm just I'm out on Dillon Brooks. Like that's too extreme. It's too extreme. Like Draymond is extreme too, but like Draymond's smart enough to know, like after game one, he's like, I played like crap. Like, I need to be better, you know. And then you got Dillon Brooks who played like absolute dog crap in the playoffs, and then it was just like, oh yeah, the problem was I didn't shoot enough. I need to shoot more threes. Like I need a bigger role. Like I need more offensive responsibility and like all this stuff. Like no, you don't. You need to freaking check yourself and realize that you're shooting your team out of game sometime and you're not that good on offense. So if all he did was come in and play defense and occasionally, shoot when he was open or whatever, that's fine. But you're never going to get a guy like Dillon Brooks to change his mindset on that. He thinks he's like a two-way player who's one of the best players in the league. And yeah, it's good to have confidence and be cocky and stuff, but like you cannot talk the crap that he talked in the playoffs. You cannot rile up those people, the opposition, and then freaking just like bow down and and like be a joke on the court. Like you can't have it both ways. Like, so it's fine if you want to disrespect LeBron and all that crap, but if you can't back it up on the court, like I'm done with that, dude. And then you're talking about how you needed to shoot more when you couldn't even make a shot the entire playoffs. Like what are you talking about, dude? Like I don't get Dillon Brooks at all. So yeah, he's a big no for me. I don't think those kind of guys are fixable or like, oh, put him with Dame and Dame will cure him. Like nah, those players are done. It's like, yes, and I mean, Ja's got a little bit of this too. I mean, he's talking earlier in the season, oh yeah, I'm fine in the West, and then like they didn't even win a series in the West, man. It's dumb. But like the problem is though, like defensively, that's the kind of player we need. And if you can get him in free agency, that would be a huge addition. But like I just don't want to deal with all that other crap. I think he's more detrimental to a team than helpful. So yeah, Colonel Pancake says Ja can back it up at least. Yeah, I'm not saying Ja can't, but I mean they did lose. He was hurt, but yeah. Taylor says maybe this experience will humble him. Yeah, maybe, but like, do you really think a humble person would then say after the series that the problem was I didn't shoot enough? Like, what did he shoot in the playoffs? Like 30% at best? Like, he was terrible. Like, ugh. Yeah, Jimmy Butler is who Dillon Brooks thinks he is, Aromancer. That's exactly right, yeah. And it shouldn't be Dame's problem to change people. And Dame even said it. That was part of what he said. Yeah, he said he didn't want players that he has to wait for, or like to fix or whatever. So yeah. James Daniel Sr. says, what are you talking about, dude? It's about backing it up. He had a bad series. He talked it and didn't walk it that time. But he's a very good player, got to shoot the ball better. Okay, so he talked it and didn't walk it, but I'm supposed to say he's fine? That's okay? I don't understand what you're saying. Or are you talking to someone else in chat? Colonel Pancakes with a $20 donation. Thank you so much. He says, thanks for carrying Blazers Uprise on your back tonight, E. Oh, thanks, Colonel. It's not about carrying it. It's just, yeah, everyone needs a little break and a vacation. I'm glad Tori actually got to go out of town tonight. He's really he really needed a little bit of a vacation. So I was glad to see he was able to do that. So I hope he's having fun up up there. Taylor Packer says, do you want to tell us a bit more about your side project real quick? There's not really much to tell. Just a friend of mine had asked if I wanted to help him out with just a channel where we talk about like some of the history of the Blazers. If you didn't check that out, we did have a video, our first video. It's on Rip City Retro, it's called. And yeah, it's not like competing with this or anything serious like that. It's just us talking about moments that shaped, the Blazers franchise and a little bit about the history of the Blazers that we don't really get into a lot here. So thanks a lot, Marcus, for mentioning that. Yeah, so the first episode was about the history of the lottery and the Blazers' history in the lottery, what happened the years they were in it, and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of leading up to the lottery itself on May 16th, and then yes, we just talked about what we're going to do for our next show, and I think we settled on we're going to kind of delve into the Clyde Drexler trade and what led up to it, why he wanted out of Portland eventually, what became of that trade, if it was a good trade, and the pieces we got back, and just kind of the years leading up to that. And we've kind of tie it into now another star, Damian Lillard, and how that situation compares back then to the Clyde one. So yeah, we're just going to be talking about different things like that from the past. We'll mostly geek out about late 80s, early 90s Blazers because that's what molded our fandom. But yeah. Yeah, we eventually want to do a little bit of kind of like the Last Dance documentary. So like, maybe have a show leading up to how like the late 80s, early 90s roster was assembled and then what happened. And then you can have another show with what happened in each of those years. And then the same thing with like the 99-2000 team that went to the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, just the Scottie Pippen trade and the offseason where we get Steve Smith and Pippen and Detlef Schrempf, just those kind of things. So yeah, just talking about a lot of the past type stuff. But yeah, if you're interested in that, it's called Rip City Retro. Don't remind me, I'm going to cry. Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard the recent comments of Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells were on a podcast talking about that whole Jail Blazers era and stuff like that. But yeah, just to make it clear, we talk about this right off the jump in the first episode. I'm not leaving Blazers Uprise or anything. It's just like a little fun thing to do on the side to talk about Blazers history. Donna J. Torrey, what's up, man? 250 rupee donation. And he always starts it out with just, hello, Eric, big fan here. Who are we more likely to get, Bridges or OG? Who would be the easiest to get without giving up more and is very much possible to pursue? You are my favorite. Don't tell Tori. Okay. Thanks for the donation, Donna J. OG is easier to match, won't cost as much theoretically, and you could get him without gutting a lot of the roster. So I'd definitely say it's OG is the easiest to get out of there. Now, if they had their choice, the Blazers, they would 100% pick Mikal Bridges. I don't even think it's in the same ballpark. But the problem is, so with Bridges, might have a situation where he doesn't even get traded, even if you offered 5 firsts and Sharp and stuff. Like, I don't know if that's. I mean, I'm not saying we should do that, but I don't think they would even. There might be a situation where they just don't trade him for anything. So that's very likely. And so I'd just say, unless he becomes available or asks out or something, I just don't think it's realistic to get him. I hope I'm wrong with that, because Mikal would be absolutely perfect. And I know that would be, if we trade for Bridges or Jaylen Brown, those are two players that the Blazers, or Dame in particular, would immediately back down on his feelings of needing to have a conversation after this offseason, because either of those two players are perfect for this roster, and Dame likes. So I think if we can get one of those, it would completely ease that Dame situation. But with OG, I still think whether they want to go the OG route, whether Ujiri stops being a pain and realizes that OG is going into his last year and maybe not have the value he has in the past, I do think there is a strong possibility of getting OG. The problem is, despite his value maybe diminishing this summer, there's going to be a floor to what you have to give up. Because if I'm, let's just say, Dallas at number 10, assuming they don't get screwed and move down and lose their pick, because if one team from 11 to 14 jumps into the top 4, Dallas then loses their pick if they don't jump either. So, but I think OG would be someone that Dallas would offer that 10th pick for, and some sort of package around that 10th pick for OG. So as kind of like a baseline, you'd have to beat that offer, and then just hope that teams like Memphis and New Orleans that have been interested in OG in the past go a different route or don't offer too much because of his contract situation being in the last year. So that's someone that I think is realistic, but I don't think the Blazers. It kind of reminds me of the Suns last offseason. Now, I don't think the Blazers will wait till the trade deadline to pull something off, because I don't think that's what will be the right move in this situation. But the Suns passed up several good trade opportunities because they wanted to make sure they had the contracts and pieces in place in case Kevin Durant became available. And they luck out and get rewarded for their patience, get a new owner just in time for the trade deadline that's willing to go all in and spend money, something that their previous owner had not been willing to do at times. So you needed those pieces that they had that they might have looked elsewhere to trade. So I think the Blazers would like OG, like he's a good player and it would be a good fit, but I just don't think they're going to make that be like their big move, because I just think they're going to go for a true star first, and then if they have to settle for OG or whatever, maybe they have their conversation of whether it's worth it or not. But because of all the things I mentioned, like his contract being a lot easier to match than any other good player, I do believe that that OG is still a possibility. Let's see. Donna J with another donation. Thank you, man. Would you be the least happy if we get Jaylen Brown between OG, JB, and Bridges? It's a tough question to answer without knowing what we give up. Like, if we give up Ant, Sharp, and the lotto pick for Jaylen Brown. Like that's a tough pill to swallow. But that might be the asking price. So like I don't know if. So yeah, it's not that I don't know. It depends on what we give up because like if we can get OG for like the seventh pick and just matching salary like Nas, Keon Knox, and like Nate Williams or something. If we can do that, like I'd much rather do that than give up Sharp and the lotto pick or whatever for one of those other guys. But like if we can get any of those three like at a reasonable price, I think I'd want Bridges the most. Jaylen Brown, I'm not a huge Jaylen Brown fan. I've said this multiple times. It kind of reminds me of the way I felt about Grant last offseason when we were talking about getting him. It's that like he's not the greatest fit for what we need out of a small forward, but if he wants to be here and specifically like wants to play in Portland versus any other city and wants to be here with Jeremy and Dame and Chauncey and all that, then that boosts him up in my opinion. So same with Jeremy, like just the fact that he wanted to come here, and so because that's pretty rare that we have players of Jaylen Brown's caliber. So if that's true that he does want to play in Portland, I will be bumping him up a little bit just because like I do like the fact that if we get someone and he wants to be here and chose to be here, that is cool in my mind. Let me go through some of these other questions. AJ says, hypothetically, if we trade Ant and a couple firsts for Brown, would you trade Lotto pick for OG in 13, keep Lotto and draft a player, trade the Lotto for Murphy and Herb? I mean, if that Trey Murphy and Herb Jones trade is on the table, I'd absolutely do that. I don't know. If you could, I don't think. I know we talked about this last stream, but I don't think Ant and a couple of future firsts is enough for Jaylen Brown. So I think you're gonna have to go up a lot more. So I don't think you're gonna have enough assets to get OG to. I mean, I obviously if you could pull that off and get OG and Brown, I would take it because then Brown could slide in at the 2, OG could be the 3 and the point of attack defender, and Jaylen Brown's decent. That's like the secondary POA guy. So I don't mind that at all. But yeah, I don't know. I have a tough time even thinking about one trade happening, let alone like 2 or 3. So yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of taking a wait and see attitude there. Donald J says, if we give up Ant, Sharp, and a Lotto, I will die. Yeah. What if that's for Giannis, though? If it's for Giannis, would you? I mean, this all changes, too, depending on what pick we actually get. Because if we get number 1, I think it changes the whole equation. Taylor Packer says, should we be nervous that Cronin might bring back Eubanks as the backup center? Man, yeah. I think we should be, yeah. Because there's not a lot of free agent options, so that's part of the problem. And I don't think they just haven't shown the propensity to add salary right now. So I've said this multiple times. If it was me, I would go get Daniel Gafford. He fits in the smaller trade exception. I think once they have their new GM in place, they might look at their roster and be like, why are we fighting the tax with a team that's not even close to contending and making the playoffs? And they might want to cut salary like that. He until the new league year starts, he only makes less than $2 million, so you could easily acquire him without having to match contracts, and I think it'd be a great backup center slash starting center if Nurkic was unavailable or if we trade Nurkic or whatever. And then so that's someone I would go get right now. But I also like a couple players in this draft. If we could find a way to get Derek Lively, I still think he could be a backup center relatively quickly. And then I also I really like Deron Holmes in the second round, so if you could find a way to get him, a lot of mocks have him going right around 43. So I think there is possible ways to add that. And you see guys like I mentioned, Gafford, Claxton is like this too. There's players that are centers that seemingly go late first, early second. Mitchell Robinson was a late first guy. There's players like that in seemingly every draft that you can find and get a pick like that. And if they become a starting slash top level backup center, I think those are good moves. So I wouldn't be scared to go the draft route with centers. I just wouldn't. I'd still have a third center just in case, so they might want to add someone else for depth. But I would definitely do Gafford because it would be cheap now. It might cost them a little bit later, but yeah. Walker Kessler last year as a great example. Aeromancer came in, was one of the best rim protecting centers in the league as a rookie, and he was picked in the 20s. So Jalen Williams started for OKC. Iverson says, "Do you think the Suns are finished?" Man, I don't know. I think Denver's looked really good, man. I think this might be their year. But they just got to take care of business at home. So got to win the next two games at home and then steal one in Denver, one of the last two in Denver. So, but yeah, they're without Chris Paul. You're relying on campaign. They didn't really do much to add pieces other than Durant. So it might be till next year, but the problem is that roster is getting really old. So I don't know how many years they have left in them. But yeah, you just got to hope, I guess, KD goes crazy and Booker plays well. Some of these comments, I can't tell if you're talking to me or if you're just arguing with someone in chat. So I don't know how to respond to some of them. Devin Ford asks, Eric, do you see Jeff Curtin and others from Blazers broadcast crew get let go? Why do you think that would happen? Yeah, I did see it. Jeff Curtin is a name I've been hearing for, I don't know when he's like started in Blazers broadcasting, but I feel like it's been like 30 years. So I don't get it, man. It's not Blazers broadcasting fault that Root Sports is a mess, or that the Blazers president. So I'm gonna blame Hankins on this one. It's not their fault that the Blazers can't get a good TV package and all that, but I'd say they're doing about as good of a job as you can do under the circumstances. But I just don't like, this goes back to me for a long time. Maybe this is another episode of Rip City Retro where we could talk about how crappy this organization has treated our organization, or has treated our announcers. This goes back to Bill Schonely being forced out of radio back, I forgot what year that was, but then they tried to save face by bringing it back to TV, and then it just didn't go well. It's just, man, and then the whole Mike and Mike situation, and then the way they treat Wheels, and then they don't even like help Wheels out. He's like struggling big time. Someone has to start a GoFundMe account to freaking so he can pay his mortgage while he's in the freaking hospital, dude. Like this organization needs to step up and take care of their announcers, because they're not players, but they are part of the team, and they're part of the fan experience, and they're part of the enjoyment of watching games and following your team. And when your organization treats those guys like crap, I'm sorry, but that just reflects very poorly on the organization. And I know it came out that it was Bert Cold behind a lot of these decisions today, but the reason why I mentioned Hankins was because he's the one who signed the Root Sports deal or whatever. But I just feel like, and it's not just Jody. I can't blame Jody, because this goes back before Jody. But then, you talk about like the stuff last year where they were talking about not even sending their announcers on games, and then they I thought, it was kind of dumb at times, but at times, like, it was kind of cool having an analytics person like Corey Jez talking about, different things, different angles, different stats that normally would never get brought up on a broadcast. So it was cool to add that, but like I felt like they were just like, oh, we're gonna add this so we can just cut corners everywhere else. So yeah, I don't get it, man. And as far as I heard from the Wheel situation, he did not want to leave. He was forced out, basically fired. And he was going through all kinds of health problems. So I don't know if he could have stayed on any longer or done it much longer. But yeah, it's frustrating, man. Those people are part of your life and your fandom. Like, so I just don't like the way they're being treated. And yeah, like, so Lando Oz says that he worked at Moda and was treated well, but you're not being directly treated well by the owners or anything. I mean, they might be nice to you, but they're not like responsible for you being treated nicely there. That would be the management of Moda Center and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't get this organization sometimes, man. It's like they can never just figure things out, and it's always something. So, yeah, it's hard to give them the benefit of the doubt when any of this stuff comes up. Yeah. Yeah, Rip City Retro says the announcers are literally the voice of the fan base. Got to respect those guys for sure. Yeah, and you always hear like Barrett and Rice just say they were completely blindsided. They both had, I think it was at least a year left on their contract, and just all of a sudden one day they were just like, nope, you guys are gone. But yeah, it's just tough, man. I don't know. Shipless Stewart says other teams are not hesitant firing coaches who have won them championships, while Blazers are fine with someone who's not even an NBA head coach. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard. Like, if you think Chauncey's done a terrible job, which I kind of lean to that side as well. I do get it. I mean, he has not been good. The only thing you could say is you got. I don't know if Reese is watching right now, but he accused me of saying this is fan fiction when I said this earlier today. But like, the hope is that Chauncey was kind of forced to maybe play Cam Reddish and not play Sharp at times. All that kind of stuff. So, yeah. just that's the only thing you can hold your hat on, is that he was just doing what he was told. He was purposely losing games or doing stuff. But I mean, I don't think that's likely, but maybe, third year coach going into his third year, he'd learned some things over the last 2 years that he can implement next year. Just got to hope he figures it out, because I don't think they're going to replace him. But I mean, yeah, organizations, when a coach isn't working out, would normally do that. So hopefully, if it doesn't work out next year, if they make some trades and have a good team and it's not working out, they move on from him. But hopefully we don't have to do that. Taylor Backer says it's funny we got to create these made up scenarios. I mean, it's not really made up. Like, he did have a situation where the team was tanking and they didn't want to win or didn't want to make the playoffs. So I don't know. Gio says to get Naz Reid in free agency. That would be great. I don't know. I think he's maybe priced out of the mid-level exception market, but if you could get him for the mid-level exception, that would be great. Aeromancer says, Eric, don't forget to thank donos. I'm only one dono behind, right? I've gotten every other dono, Aeromancer. Have you not been paying attention? All right, let me thank Donna J. Torrey for another donation. Along the same lines of his other donation, 200 rupees this time. If we get OG for our lotto pick plus fillers, would you be down to trade Sharp, Nas, Knicks pick, and another future first for Brown? Would this work? LOL. Nope, not enough salary, so we need those fillers for OG. And then, so we wouldn't have Nas anymore because he'd be part of that filler. But Sharp only makes $6 million. I believe Jaylen Brown makes around $28 million, if I'm not mistaken. So long ways to go between Sharp and Brown. So that's not even close to working. So if you include Nurk there, then you have to figure out what you're doing at center, because you just traded for 2 wings. If you include Anthony, I guess that would probably be better, but then do the Celtics want 2 guards? I don't know. Not sure. But you'd also have to figure out a way to get future picks. If you're trading both the Knicks pick and a future first, then you got to find a way to free it up. I don't think the Knicks pick has a lot of value other than to us or to getting our picks back either. And then Colonel Pancakes with another donation. This one is $5. He says, would be cool to see you guys do a casual interview with Wheels. Yeah, Wheels, that's someone, it would be cool. But unfortunately, he's just, I don't think he's doing well enough health-wise to do that kind of stuff anymore. Hopefully he gets back into good health and can do that stuff in the future, because, it would be fun to talk to him. And he has, in the past, gone on shows like ours. Yeah. Aeromancer's just not even paying attention. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anyone. Eli Hanna says, do you think Jordan Kent got a fair chance on COVID season? I mean, I felt bad that he was let go, but I don't think he's good on basketball. I've heard him on football games, college football and stuff. I think he's great on that. I think that's more his wheelhouse. I don't think basketball is best for his play-by-play. But I mean, part of it, maybe he didn't want to go back to that Rip City. You do have to keep in mind too. The other thing that I feel bad about for Jordan is that that season he did it was the COVID season that they didn't travel with the team or whatever. So he was doing it from the booth in Portland on road games. So that's not only is it your first year doing that, but you're also doing it on there. So, but yeah, maybe he would have grown on me. But yeah, I don't know. Murray, that was Jordan Cat. I saw you ask what I thought about Calabro and Hurd. I don't know. I don't mind him. Um, yeah, I was not the biggest Calabro fan, but yeah, he's kind of grown on me. But I mean, he's a little out of his prime though too. Like he um, messes a lot of things nowadays. But I mean, I don't have a problem with Clabber or whatever. Seems like a really nice guy. Um, yeah, I like Herd's cool. I like Herd. But yeah, yeah. It's just weird going from Mike and Mike to them, because Mike and Mike it just seemed like because like they seemingly like grew into the role, and they seemed like they were just like fans watching the game with us. It was just more of that kind of thing. So it's just hard going from that to the other one. All right, Connor Johnson says, Eric two-parter about the thumbnail. Do we think Bud was fired for not calling a timeout to advance the ball? Why shouldn't we hire Bud? Well, he was fired. Well, I mean that was part of it, but anytime you lose in the first round as a one seed, um, and they've had playoff failures outside of the championship. I mean, going back to the championship season, um, I mean, he was basically. I mean, everyone knew he was going to get fired if they didn't win the championship that year. So um, he ends up winning the championship, um, in large part due to injury. He got lucky with the Bucks situation, or not the Bucks, the Nets. Being basically down to KD in that series, and then we have a situation where they got lucky and played the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then did well to come back from 2-0 down, but um, I mean they have all this defensive talent between Middleton and Drew Holiday, Giannis, Brooke Lopez, and I don't know. It still seems like he's back to being like kind of stubborn in terms of scheme and stuff. Um, whereas the year they won the championship, I felt like he actually tried to change a few things, and it might have cost them a little bit during the regular season, but I felt like they were more set up for the playoffs. Um, so I felt like it kind of defaulted back to being a little stubborn this year. So, what's up, Ari? Uh, so yeah, I don't think. Um, I mean, ultimately, if the Blazers move on from Chauncey and they need a head coach, I mean, of course, you probably depending like if they're going all in this summer, they probably want a championship minded coach. So I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. I seem to I'll lean more towards coaches like Nick Nurse who try different things, it seems like, and aren't quite as locked into my scheme's gonna work, whether it's working or not. I'm just gonna stick with it and hope it starts working eventually. Not really a fan of those kind of coaches. So hopefully, if it comes down to it, and they did move on from Chauncey like in a year from now, and they brought in a coach like Bud, that he would come in and maybe have a fresher approach now that he doesn't have Giannis and a great team. But it's always tough when you go from a really good loaded roster like that to a worse roster. I don't know if that necessarily is the best situation for a coach like that. But like, again, Chauncey's not going to get fired this summer, so maybe next summer. But yeah. Joey says, I like what the new Phoenix owner did for watching the games. I wish Jody would do something like that and get the games back on NBC like they used to be back in the day. Yeah, I think he just said that all the games would be free for them. Like, I mean, you have to eat some money to do that, but man, how refreshing is it to just have an owner that cares about the fan experience and doesn't care about the bottom line, the dollar amount. I mean, he probably will eventually, but right now it's fun for him, and I think that's cool that he's just broadcasting them out there, going to start their own TV thing and just broadcast the games for free on there. I mean, even if it wasn't free, I think that's smart to go that route. Tori and I have talked about that before, about just like, I don't understand why the Blazers, if they're going to be innovative, just start their own streaming service for the Blazer games, or put it on a streaming service that you can get all the games just by paying a monthly fee or whatever. Yeah, Taylor, that's the hope, is that Chauncey looks better with a deeper lineup. Maybe some pieces that he can implement some of his schemes a little better. Yep, all good. That's a good point. They'll grow their fan base exponentially because of the availability of the games. I mean, compare that to the Blazers situation, where for decade plus now, like, there's been people who literally want to watch the games, want to pay for a service to watch the games on, but live in an area where that service is not available and can't watch it. like how ridiculous is that? And there's just no options for them other than to illegally stream it or move or something. Like, it makes no sense. Like, it just doesn't. That's not how you grow your audience. I mean, that's horrible. And then they had Fubo, but didn't it go out of business? Like, it's not even an operation anymore or whatever. It's funny. You in hotel, right, dude? Nope, I'm at my house. But yeah, just the difference between alienating half your fan base at times, like, because they can't even watch a product that they want to watch, and then just being like, here, everyone watch this. I want everyone to see it for free. Whatever. But yeah. Okay, yeah, Fubo's still going. Avoca was the one, yeah. Or Avoca, or however you say it. All right, let's see some more questions here. Yes, Mom, I got a $5 pancake. Thanks. Just talk about pancakes donation. Hi, Mom. Thor wants to know my thoughts on Cleveland's first round exit. I think they were, outside the Bucks, I think they were probably the most disappointing team in the playoffs, not just losing in the first round, because that was going to be a tough series either way, but just losing in 5 games and not even really making it much of a fight. That was not ideal. So yeah, it's a little disappointing for them. I think hopefully, if you're a Cleveland fan, you learn, or you hope that the front office learned what they needed to do to address some issues in this offseason. I think you're still good with your core. You just got to find a way to add a little bit better depth pieces. But when you give up all your future for Donovan Mitchell, that also makes it a little tougher to do. If we rebuild, is Evan Mobley a good target for a future roster? No chance that Cleveland's trading him. So, no. Torrey is not coming on later. He is on vacation today. Sorry, Spencer. Embarking Box says he got to watch more games after leaving Oregon. That's funny. George, there are not really any realistic options at center for Nurk and the lotto pick because any of those players aren't a big enough improvement to warrant trading both of those assets for them, and you're not any better by doing it, and you lose a chance to get much better by trading that lotto pick, so no. Brook Lopez is not an option because he's going to get paid in free agency. The Blazers don't have any money in free agency to offer him, so he's not going to sign for the mid-level exception or whatever. So, yeah. I think I'll do a Tankathon sim. If that's cool with all of you. Hopefully Tankathon does not slow my computer down too much today. All right, so let's get your predictions. What pick are we going to get? Also, if you are interested in coming and watching the draft lottery with me and several other people that are in here right now in chat, I have a room reserved at a place in Beaverton from 4 to 7 on the night of the lottery, May 16th. It's a Tuesday. Would love to have you all there. Please message me either on Discord or on Twitter at Hoopsjock, and we can get that situated. Connor will be there. Several of our mods will be there. Trying to get Trevin to come. I really want to meet Trevin in person, but for some reason he just will not come to that kind of stuff. But it would be really cool if he did. But anyways, I've heard from several people. If you're able to come out, just let me know. Love to share that experience with you. It might be a real quick, depressing meetup, but then at least we can all suffer together there and have some food or whatever and hang out. If the stream's working okay, maybe we can, if you watch some of our watch party streams, maybe I can have some of you guys come on and ask questions or talk about or celebrate whatever pick we get. It'd be a lot of fun. Just hang out and meet people and share that experience together. And if we just happen to get lucky and that 10.5% chance that Wembanyama hits and we are all there together, that would be quite the moment to always remember, like us all going crazy together on stream, and we'd have that live for us to always watch our reaction. So I'm not thinking that's going to happen like that, but if it does, like we talked about in that Rip City Retro video, just the feeling we got when we landed Greg Oden in that 2007 draft lottery. You just always remember where you were at those moments when those happen. So hopefully we have a better experience than last year. All right, so let's do this. Come on, Tankathon. Don't slow my computer down. And now I can't do anything. I don't know what Tankathon does to my computer, but it just slows everything down. Hopefully everyone can still hear me. I'm still there, right? Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, we'll be live on YouTube. At least Tori will. Hopefully, we're gonna try to check it out before the event, um, just to test the connection there at the place. Um, and Tori doesn't want to risk doing it there because if there are internet issues, and that stream's really important to the channel. So um, yeah, so um, yeah, uh, we'll at least have Tori doing the stream. Hopefully, the live part of the location works as well. Still have to work out some of the logistics of not being a couple seconds ahead of Tori and spoiling that, but um, um, Alex asks, is draft day your biggest stream or trade deadline? Trade deadline, it depends on depends on if the Blazers make a big trade. So like the Robert Covington trade was one of our bigger streams. Um, so that kind of stuff. Or if we sign a big free agent, then the views pick up. But it just kind of depends on what. Yeah, free agency all day is fun. All right. The problem is, see, I would just go to my phone, but I already clicked simulate on Tankathon, so I don't want to not see what happened here, okay? All right, let's go through it. 14, we got New Orleans. 13, Toronto. 12, Oklahoma City. 11, Chicago. Good so far. At number 10, we have Utah. So that means that Dallas gets rewarded for tanking the last 2 games or 3 games of the season and keeping their pick. They are top 4. At number 10 or 9, we got Washington. At number 8, we have Orlando, which means Indiana also moved up. So this is a nightmare if we're sitting here on draft night for the Blazers, because 2 teams behind them have already moved up, making it very unlikely they move up. So Pacers and Dallas Mavericks are in the top 4. And then that means Portland is at number 7. So all of you who said number 7 are correct. Charlotte moves down 2 spots to 6. San Antonio moves down 2 spots to 5. Indiana takes the 4th spot. Houston gets 3rd. Dallas gets Scoot Henderson and the number 2 pick. And Detroit gets Victor Wembanyama. So yeah, my computer sucks. I'm going to do it on my phone. That was a bad one, right? Yeah, that's, I think I saw someone say, who are your teams you don't want to see get it? It's basically like the Western Conference team. So I don't want OKC. I don't want New Orleans. I don't want Dallas. Yeah, those kind of teams. Yeah, the only thing you could say is like last year we were disappointed we got 7th, but there wasn't like a generational player at number 1. And it does kind of hurt our trade value. Okay, I'm simming the lottery. I'll scroll down so I don't see. All right, I'm doing it on my phone now. But yeah, I don't want to see. I mean, I guess the Spurs would be okay, but yeah, I really don't want Western Conference. All right, so this one, New Orleans 14, Toronto 13, Chicago 12. So that means OKC moved up to the top 4. Dang it. The only good thing about this is, no, you can do it as many times as you want, Connor, but I don't know. So the only good thing is Dallas then falls to 11 and they lose their pick to the New York Knicks. So they don't even get a pick in their draft for tanking. So kind of the opposite of what happened to them on the other sim. Then we got Utah at 10. All right. Washington at 9. Orlando at 8. So the Pacers move up again on my phone. So that's Pacers and OKC this time. So once again, bad news for the Blazers. So most likely they would be at 7. And at 7 we have the Charlotte Hornets. So the Blazers move up as well. 3 teams out of the top 4 move up into the top 4. Awesome. Yeah, I'd be going crazy right now because we'd have the second best odds at worst right now of the 4 teams of getting number 1. So at 6 we got San Antonio. Detroit falls all the way to 5, which means Houston is the other team in the top 4 with us, Pacers, and the Thunder. At 4, we have the Houston Rockets. It's good. 3, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's go. It's down to us and the Pacers for number 1. This would be crazy because like we'd be sad that OKC moved up, but now we're like going crazy because OKC came up. At number 2, Portland Trailblazers. Crap. And the Pacers get Victor Wembanyama. Interesting. Yeah. Tori and I have talked a lot about that. You know, it'd be super disappointing if we get to the top 2 and it's us and the Pacers and we end up not getting first. But I think this would be a really cool outcome. Yeah, Wemby would be cool on the Pacers. I wouldn't mind that. They definitely need some more big help, especially if they trade Turner. But all good though. It says 7 stays the best draft position, always moving up. Yeah, but it only matters that one time on the day. So. But yeah, 2 would have a ton of trade value. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what team would want Scoot so bad. Maybe you could do that San Antonio trade back to 6 and get like Vassell. Maybe you get Vassell and Collins. Yeah. How valuable of a Blazers collection you got, Eric? What is valuable? What Blazers collection? Like cards or what? Yeah, how would you guys feel if we got the number 2 pick? No, it's Spencer. It's a computer generated system with there's like 1,000 different combinations. Yeah. Bro, trying to rob you. Yeah. I don't get what you're asking for. Dro, what's up, man? He says we would trade it for Bridges. I mean, they would definitely offer it for Bridges. I don't know if they're taking it or not, but Eric, would you really take Scoot over Miller? I would not for the Blazers, obviously. I don't think Scoot makes sense, but I don't think you can just take Miller at 2 over Scoot. Like I think that's wasting value. So I would try to trade down to 3 for someone who really wanted Scoot, but make it seem like we're going to take him. But yeah. I mean, I really like Miller. He's definitely third on my board. I don't like not taking someone just because of need, you know. So yeah, I would definitely try to trade back a spot or two and try to pick up an additional asset. Spencer, I talked about that for a while earlier in the show. Would you take Scoot if we traded Ant? I mean, it depends on what we traded Ant for, too. I don't know. I'm not. While Dame's still on the team, I'm not a big fan of taking Scoot. I'd rather just get as much value out of that pick as possible. And so yeah, I think Scoot would have more trade value too than Ant, so I wouldn't mind trading. Move Dame to shooting guard, have an even smaller backcourt for people to complain about. Yeah, AJ, that's great. Pacey's access 7 last year was so deflating, even if it worked out in the end. Yeah, I mean, if we would have not gotten Sharp then. Eric, can you tell me what I'm missing about Scoot? Asked Alex R. Just he's got a burst with the ball that's pretty much like unheard of. He has creation ability. I don't think a shot is that bad. I think he'll figure it out eventually. I mean, he does have to shoot better, of course. But yeah. I think his vision is good, but I mean, I think he's going to be elite getting to the rim, getting to his spots on the court. Ball handling is good, I think, and he's physical. Yeah. So, I mean, the only thing you can really knock him on, I think, is his shooting. And I don't think his shot's that bad. I think he'll become a better shooter. What's up, Leo? I'm doing good. How about yourself? Good night, AJ. Hope you have a good one. Yeah, Alex, exactly. Scoot's value is just a little more than Shaden's because he's more of a known prospect if you're comparing him to last year. If you're comparing him to this year, I still think I think we're in a case, Rahi, of like, I don't know how to put this, but I think Blazer fans, and this is justified, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying I think Blazer fans are super hyped, super excited about Sharp. I don't know if everyone else around the NBA or around the league noticed that much. So I don't know, even with his outbursts towards the end of the season, outside of, a couple teams that we played maybe, like I don't know if a lot of teams still really even know what Sharp is, or like even really think much more than maybe he put up stats on a tanking team. Like, we'll wait to see if he can prove it next year or whatever. So yeah, I think Scoot's going to have more value, but the problem is, trading first round picks is complicated because they don't have a contract, and then if you do sign him to a contract and use it in a trade, you have to wait 30 days. So it's a little tough, but I do think like I said, this has nothing to do with Sharp. I'm not saying he's not going to be a star. He's not really good, or we shouldn't have high expectations after watching him closely. But I think fans got to watch every minute of him, towards the end of the season, and most other people around the league didn't pay attention to the Blazers at all the last 2 months of the season. So I think it's just a case where I think fans are maybe a little over evaluating how much value he has, but I think that's maybe a good thing, because if he's not worth a ton in a trade, it doesn't make sense to trade him. So I think if you want to keep him, I think you want to do that. Yeah, exactly. All good. Yeah, just keep it on the low and maybe trade other people. But yeah. I'm not saying he can't be a franchise centerpiece for Pack City. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I didn't say we were going to trade him. I said it might actually be better that we don't trade him, because it's not like, let other people be the one to miss out on him, right? And it'd be good if we traded for, say, Jaylen Brown, and they didn't ask for Sharp, or like didn't say Sharp or no deal. So, like, hopefully that's the case. I mean, having a highlight against every team is not the same as actually being a star like Scoot. That was the question. Hyperprime says, by value, I just mean historically, and collection, I just mean just a Blazers memorabilia in general. I don't really have a ton of Blazer memorabilia. I have a bunch of just crappy shirts that I've picked up from like going to games with my mom and stuff. I got, I still have some of my Dairy Queen glasses. I was just talking about that with my wife today, because Dairy Queen showed this like baseball commercial, and I was like, oh my goodness, are they going to bring back the helmets? Like, if you guys know what I'm talking about, they used to have, I can't remember when it was, maybe around opening day or whatever, they'd have these like plastic baseball helmets, and you get a Blizzard or a Sunday or whatever in the baseball helmet, and then you got to take it home or whatever. And I mean, they weren't like real helmets, they were like, like this big, and like, those were awesome. And then like the Dairy Queen glasses and stuff, like Dairy Queen's missing out, man. They need to go back to those kind of days where they had the baseball helmets and the Blazer glasses and all that kind of stuff, because that was cool. You can go and get different teams, and you can go back, once a week and get a different glass and stuff. Like, those were the times. But I wouldn't say those are super valuable or anything. I have a lot of autographs in this like autograph book, but I mean, just on paper, it's not really, yeah. My only real prized possession memorabilia wise is I got to meet Jerry Rice, my childhood idol, and got him to sign a jersey. So yeah. But yeah, that was really cool getting to meet him. Someday I want to, yeah, I have a bunch of like crappy jerseys too. So I have Darius Miles, Sebastian Telfair, I have Martell Webster, Greg Oden, and now I have Anthony Simons. But he's gonna get traded, and that jersey's gonna be added to the collection. No, I will not send you the Darius Miles one. Yeah, I met him at the Wilsonville Fred Meyer. He was doing like a book signing or whatever, and yep. Yeah, my cursed jersey collection. Uh, man, yeah. How cool would that be to get like a Damian Lillard and Shaden Sharp and Jeremy Grant, Dairy Queen, uh, Blazer Glass? That'd be so cool, man. What what is wrong with these people? Like, it's like the ultimate thing. Like, think of how many Blazer fans would go to Dairy Queen when no one goes to Dairy Queen other than for like a dessert every once in a while. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I have a bunch of like random crap at my mom's house. Nothing's like really cool or valuable or anything. I mean, Jerry Rice is pretty much the biggest star I've ever met. I don't know, like hard to top that, I guess, right? Bo Keller says he has got 14 Dame jerseys. That's cool. Yeah, so my goal is so eventually want to get like my Jerry Rice one framed and set up there. Like I have, you weren't allowed to take a picture with him at the time, but my mom took some pictures while I was doing it. So like put the pictures up around it too. But my goal would be then to get a signed Dame jersey, um, and then have that like next to the Jerry Rice one. That would be cool. Like my two favorite players ever for my favorite teams. But I don't want to just like buy a jersey. Like I want to like actually like meet him someday, whether it be at an autograph show or whatever. But like um, get it signed personally. I don't want to buy it, but so yeah, that's my dream is someday just to meet Dame and have him sign my jersey. But I have nightmares that I'd meet him and then not have a jersey with me, so I wouldn't be able to do that. And the reason why the jersey that I have of Dame isn't cursed is because it's a All Star jersey that I won in a contest, so it's not a Blazer one. So yeah, my mom, as a season ticket holder, got to go to Big Al's at the end of the season and meet a bunch of Blazers. But there was two different sessions, and the session she went to had like Sharp was there and Thibault and Ibu Baji and Nas and Watford and all those guys. But the other session had Anthony and Jeremy and Nurk and Dame and all that. So uh, fortunately, she didn't get to meet them, but maybe sometime it'll work out. Mr. Pie with a $5 donation says, I'm thinking about getting a Sharp jersey. I only have a Dame City Edition jersey. How do I get it signed? Um, you pretty much just have to be super lucky. Either just happen to catch them when they're signing autographs before the game, or like somewhere out and about where you can get their autograph. Like I said, with Jerry Rice, it just happened to be he was signing autographs for a book that he was releasing. So yeah, just got lucky. But there's like I don't know if Dame will ever do this, but there's all kinds of retired athletes that go to like card shows around the country, and you can like pay money to have an autograph. But yeah, Brad the Kid went to Dame camp in 2016, and he signed a Snapchat photo. Yes, both of my kids are now in the age where they can go to Dame's camp, but it's like $400 or something. Yeah, so that would be one thing, and maybe I'll pay that just to get to meet Dame. Yeah, there's a day when Dame comes and like all the kids. Brian, you probably know about this. All the kids' parents are all there that day. all just waiting to see Dame too. I think the parents care more about it than the kids do. Yeah, $365. Tori is on vacation tonight, Leo. Keldon Blevins was one of your coaches back then when he was in college. Yeah, that's funny. Alex says I'm big enough I can roll through all the other parents. Yeah, I'm not like that though. Like I'm not. Starting a GoFundMe won't help me get Dame on stream. It's not like Dame saying if I raise a certain amount of money, he'll come on stream. That'd be cool. I would love to have a chance to interview Dame. It'd be cool. Just unfortunately, we're not very welcome in that community. Not with Dame specifically, but just the whole Blazer media thing. So, no, you don't have to do that in Bargain Box. It's fine. Blazers Uprise Drew Eubanks interview would be awkward. Yeah, it depends on how much you know about us beforehand. I probably wouldn't do that though. Yeah. Leo, yeah, just hit me up on Twitter. I'll let you know where it's at. And anyone else who's interested, let me know. Would love to see you there. Already got a decent amount of people going. Hoping to have like 30 or so people. The room isn't that big, but I was trying to ask what capacity was, and they're like, oh, you can have as many as you want. 70, 80 people. I was like, I don't think 70 people can fit in that room, but yeah. I think pretty much all the mods are going. So you can meet the mods if you haven't already as well. And yeah, it'd just be fun to hang out with you guys. Mark Markson, I would pay for your plane ticket if I could afford it, but sorry, I can't. Dro says, what's the move Saturday, May 20th or that Sunday hoop? Yeah, dude, of course. Yeah, if any of you are interested in hooping at all this summer, hoping to get out and play a bunch, not even if it's serious, but yeah, Leo, it's in Beaverton. It's at a pizza place in Beaverton, so you can be moderated in person. And Barky Box says he tried looking for any kind of tickets to Portland, and he's way broke. Be hanging out and chat with a 6-pack. That's cool. That's fine. I understand. People live far away, so yeah, we'll have to do that next year, Alex. Collectible cards for all the mods with their stats on it, because we're talking about like keeping stats, like how quickly people who was first to ban someone that was spamming or whatever, or a sex bot or whatever. So yeah, we can have all their stats on there. How many times they shut up the streams and stuff. All right, so you guys want to move on to life advice for the last few minutes? Or is there any more basketball related questions? Rahi, you can't be stuck in class during the draft lottery. What the heck, man? Got to find a way out of it. Just tell your teacher; they'd understand, right? You can't be in class during that. What if we get Wemby? What are you gonna do, man? For high school youth basketball, what's your go-to press? You mean like where do I go for looking up scores or like finding out about it? press break defense. Are you press break defense? Are you talking about what is my go-to full court press, or how I would break a full court press defense? Yeah, like Thor says, I like the 1-3-1 trap. Where you just like double team the first inbound pass, especially if it's lengthier. Yeah, 1-2-2 that works pretty good as well. What's up, Tori? Priest, man, be realistic, dude. Come on. Mark asks, how would Cam Whitmore fit with Hallie and Mathurin? Actually, I think he's too similar to Mathurin to fit well. I think that's one team that he doesn't make a lot of sense to go to. So yeah, I mean, not that him and Mathurin can't exist, but in my mind, they're kind of clones of each other. So I don't think Pacers are the best fit for him. Alex, don't do that. All right, Spencer, have a good one. Enjoy listening to that back. Yeah, Brian, we talked about that earlier. I think it's going to do that. Mr. Pine with another donation, $2. Thank you so much. He says, "You hitting the gym? You looking lean, Eric." I haven't been to the gym, but I do have dumbbells at home. I've been pretty strenuously working out with those as much as I can. Unfortunately, I don't have anything bigger than 30-pound dumbbells, so some of the stuff is a little tough to do, like bench press and stuff, or curls or whatever, without higher weight stuff. So maybe that's next. But yeah, and then I've also I haven't eliminated soda. I still drink it if I eat out, like at a restaurant or something, which is way too much. But I stopped buying soda, so I just drink water at home, and that's helped a lot too. But yeah, thanks, appreciate it. I do shoulder press. I like to do lots of different things, and but yeah, it's going well. We need to mix in some cardio now too, just to get that last step going. Going to family trip to Hawaii this summer, so got to get in beach shape, right? Zevia Pop is 0 calories, healthy, sweetened. Yeah, I don't know. Like a lot of those sweetener stuff, I don't really like. So rather just drink water. Even though zero calorie stuff has a lot of stuff in it. Yeah, that's been the rough part, is the caffeine. Like I don't drink coffee, so I use soda to get caffeine. So that's been an adjustment. Been a little more tired than I have been. But working out helps with that a little bit. Diet advice. Thor hasn't had caffeine in 37 days. Congratulations. Mountain Dew runs through my veins. Yeah, there was a time for me too. But yeah, I was like, I didn't even notice it. Like, so I drink soda all the time, and like if it's home, I'll just like if I'm thirsty, I'll just grab a can, and then before you know it, you've drank like 5, 6 cans a day, and it's like I don't know, it adds up. So, yeah, um, just eliminating not having it here has helped a lot. I know a barking box. I said the same thing. I could never give up soda, but I think is I still that's just like my thing. So unfortunately, like I said, I eat out way too much because kids are in soccer, and so several nights a week we have practice and stuff, and it's tough to make dinner early because then you're hungry later, and then the kids want something to eat, and then so it's usually just get them something to eat before soccer, but then they're hungry for dinner, but there's limited time between going to bed and when their soccer practice is in and stuff, so I'm usually getting somewhere getting something to eat, so I still treat myself to a soda every once in a while. Just like I said, I'm just not going crazy with it. All right. Raiden with the $2 donation. Thank you so much. Hit maxes, evade taxes. Happy May 4th, Eric. Yeah, happy Star Wars Day. Happy Cinco de Mayo tomorrow to everyone. Yeah. All right. Any more questions from anyone? Appreciate everyone for watching and for supporting the channel. Really means a lot to us, and yeah, just kind of in that lull right now between now and the lottery, and then from there the offseason is going to take off. Trades start happening. We start talking about what we're doing with our picks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be cool. Sam Stone says, are you doing keto? No, I'm just trying. I'm not really like doing a diet. Like I'm just like I said, I stopped buying soda, so I had it around the house, and just like I stopped eating a whole bag of chips and and stuff like that. So yeah, stop buying a bunch of cookies and having a bunch of junk food in the house. And yeah, it's tough though. It's tough. Like I just crave like eating a bunch of brownies or cookies or something all the time. It's gonna take a while to get over that. Jackson says, what's the most you'd spend on a watch? Right now, probably like $50. I don't even know. Oh man. Am I gonna win? Oh, Aeromancer got it. Good job. Yeah, I mean, the most I've ever spent on a watch is probably like $85 on a Fossil watch back in the day. I don't know. I'm not really into watches that much. Dog's going crazy right now. But yeah, I mean, if I was rich, I'd probably have a nicer watch. But I don't really think there's any point other than I don't really care about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. All it says on mine, Aeromancer, is that you deleted it. I have a Boxer. Connor's dad has a major sweet tooth. No watch better than Dame time. That's correct. I'll buy a Dame watch. Alex says they switched over to sparkling water with flavors. They're so good. Yeah, like I don't mind sparkling water and stuff, but like there's stuff on that. Like there's something in like almost all the sparkling waters that's now like showing up as a cancer causing agent or whatever. So I don't know. Just stick to water. SXKJX says, any advice on depression? I mean, it depends on what you're depressed about. So it's tough to answer without any more information. But there's not like a single thing I could say to make it. It's kind of a case by case basis. Yeah, Dame definitely should get his own watch. That's definitely something that should happen. MGJJ123 with a $3 donation with a chicken. I think that's a chicken or a pear or something sticking out its thumb. I don't know what that is. You're going to the M's game tomorrow just to get a Trident hat? You should DM Tori because he is also going to the game tomorrow. Yeah. Hopefully you get to see them pull out the Trident, right? Yeah, I don't really drink water at restaurants either. Yeah. Have Jackson and Reese ever been in the same room? I know for a fact they're not the same person, but yeah, I don't know if they've ever been in the same room. They don't look alike at all either. I haven't tried Mio. Is that good, Michael? Dang, Tori's got those good seats. The 121 section. Nice. Thanks, Hyperprime. Have a good night. Yeah, that'll do it for this episode of Blazers Uprise Live. Thank you to all who watched, and thanks again to our sponsor, Bet Online. If you want to make some money on the second round playoff action, make sure you go check out betonline.ag. That is the place for all your gambling needs. And yeah, once again, in the next round, this is not financial advice, but listen to Eric when he tells you if the home team loses game one, bet a ton of money on the home team in game two, because it worked out both times tonight again this week. But anyways, it's been fun stream. Thanks to Tori for letting me do this solo. Hope he has a good vacation, and hope you all have a good rest of your night. We'll have some videos over on the main channel over the weekend. And then we'll see you back on this channel on Monday night. And then that'll be 8 days till the lottery. And yeah, getting down into the crunch time. It feels like it's still so far away, but it's getting close. And once again, if you're interested in watching that with me on Tuesday, May 16th, just hit me up on Discord or Twitter. And that's going to do it. Thank you to everyone who donated and chatted with me. Thanks for keeping the stream lively with your questions and comments. Really appreciate it. And hope you all have a good night. And until next time, peace out. Go Blazers.